All right, so first off, I want to say all praise to Yahweh in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of a great millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, but also known as the prophets of doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also, I want to say shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. Okay, so I know we've been speaking about Second Ezra's. We even did a couple of readings, and I did mention going into what GMS's take is on Second Ezra's, more specifically chapter 7. All right, but before we get to that, all right, I want to make a stop here and speak about this mark of the beast again. Okay, because this thing is in the earth, but the prophecy, all right, is getting closer to being fulfilled. All right, so what does that mean? That the mark is in the earth, but the prophecy hasn't been fulfilled. Well, if you go here to if you go here to Revelation chapter 13, if you go to here to Revelation chapter 13, 16, it reads, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." All right, that causeth all is what separates the MOTB being in the earth, the MOT being the micro C-hip or the RFID C-hip. But the causing people to take it, all right, the making mandatory, okay, the making this thing mandatory is what separates, right, this prophecy coming to pass, and or not coming to pass yet. All right, so it is coming. All right, the technology has been here for a while. It's just that they haven't caused all to receive it. They haven't made it tough on you or announced that this thing was going to be mandatory. All right, although it is being brought onto the main stage gradually. All right, but the making of it being the making of making the micro C-hip mandatory has not happened yet. All right, and that's where that causeth all points to. All right, the he in that verse is Esau, Edom. Okay, let's take a look at Malachi. All right, chapter 1. All right, hold on a second here. All right, Malachi chapter 1. I'm gonna start at 2. Okay, it reads, "I have loved you, saith the Lord Yahweh." All right, speaking to Israel. Okay, because verse 1 reads, "The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel," by Malachi. All right, so verse 2, it says, actually the heading even of this chapter, it says, "The love of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai for Israel." Okay, so verse 2 it reads, "I have loved you, saith the Lord Yahweh, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith the Lord Yahweh, yet I loved Jacob." All right, that question, all right, the "wherein hast thou loved us," all right, that comes for you unlearned Israelites out there. That's why it's important to ask questions and to grow in spirit, all right, to learn of the Lord, turn back to our ways and walk in them and endure in that walk until he returns, until Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai returns. All right. So verse 3 it says, "And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. Okay. That also points to, and I don't have that, in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, under the entry for Edom, it tells you that Esau Edom is the only neighbor of the Israelites who was not promised any mercy from Yahweh Baal Shem Shai, which that's what it talks about. That's what it means. The people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. All right, they are the wicked. If you go to Job 9:24, it explains how Esau is going to causeth all. How is he going to be able to do that? So here in Job 9, let me get here. My fingers will work. All right. All right. So Job 9:24 reads, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" So the second part of this verse also leads to clues to how we know who Esau Edom is. All right, but that first part of that verse, all right, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. That's why, all right, the earth is in the state that it's in right now. Okay. Let me find this other Bible verse that points to that. Okay. All right, this is Proverbs 29:2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, people rejoice. All right, if you look around the world, are people rejoicing? And of course, you can find little pockets of people rejoicing. All right, Esau is in the driver's seat, so you'll find him rejoicing wherever he is. All right, but for the most part, all right, are people rejoicing? No, because of the second voice. The second part of this verse, it says, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Okay, so let's look at this word for mourn. All right, here it is.
Strong's H 584. Anach. Anach.
All right, so let's see what it says here. Sigh, groan, in pain or grief, gasp. Okay, Strong's definition, it says to sigh, groan, mourn, sigh. Okay, and this is what people are doing for the most part. All right, all you have to do is pay attention, and you'll recognize this. All right, these people are in the driver's seat. All right, the world is given, or the earth is given into their hand. Why are things so fucked up? All right, because they are the wicked. All right. So let's visit another verse. All right, let's visit Obadiah. All right. Hold on a second here. Okay. Now let's visit Obadiah for a second. Okay. This is starting at verse 10 with the subheading reading the great sin of Edom. Okay, but verse 10 in Obadiah it reads, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, or the progenitor of the Israelites, okay, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. And then if you read on down, all right, the subheading from 15 says Edom in the day of the Lord, all right? Talks about their judgment, okay? So there are many things that Esau does to show that he is contrary to not only Yahweh, Baal Shem Shai, but to their men, all right? But to also to Israel, okay? Israel as a whole, okay? Edom's contrary nature is often linked to their pride. All right, their refusal to act as brotherly kin to the Israelites instead of acting as stubble that will be consumed, as a matter of fact. All right, they're going to be consumed in the end of all of this. So I just wanted to point that out really quick. Now let's go back here and read Revelation 13, verse 16 and 17 again. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. The two examples that we give for the most part on this channel is Walletmore. It's one word. It's Walletmor. All right, that'll show you the technology that is the RFID CHIP. All right, that technology, back from when I was looking at it, right, that's the one that they're going to insert in your hand. But there's also another one, all right? It says in their right hand or in their foreheads, okay? The second one that we give an example, as an example, is Neuralink, or Elon Musk's brain technology. Now, you can take note of the company names, and the people surrounding this, but really you need to go look at this technology, okay? All right. Verse 17 tells you that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So unless you get this badge of servitude, all right, you won't be able to participate in society as we all have become used to. All right, you're going to have to make a decision, okay? And this decision is going to come upon the whole world. All right, the Lord is going to protect whom are his, and the rest of the world is going to fall for one reason or another. A lot of them are going to take this MOTB, okay? MOTB is short for Mark of the Beast, okay? The Greek word for the mark of the beast is charagma, all right? And again, it acts as a badge of servitude, all right? So, what I want to do now here is go to a question that I asked Google and do a little bit of reading, all right? So now that we understand what happened here. It's just popped up. Neuralink plans high volume brain implant production by 2026, Musk says. All right, we may even read this article at some point, but I do want to get to these questions here. Yeah, there's a few articles we can read, but so what I asked Google was if, and remember, we have to ask certain questions. We have to ask questions to AI certain ways. All right, we have to play to its ego or its programmer's ego. Okay, so if we ask a question about, we have to basically ask, what do you call them? Rhetorical questions. All right, things that we already know the answers to. We have to ask them in a certain way because this thing will always try to defend against what the truth is. All right, because of its programmers. Okay, but this is what I asked. I said, if there is a secret plot to C hip, all right, put that together, the letter C and the word hip, okay? If there is a secret plot to C hip all human beings, what were some steps taken today or even recently that assists or helps this plan to move forward, right? So we're going to do a short little reading on this, and then that'll be that, all right? So it says, while there is no verified secret plot, again, defending, okay? While there is no verified secret plot, several recent technological and regulatory steps are actively making the large-scale integration of human micro-C-hipping or neural implants more feasible. Now, maybe they're being facetious and they're saying that it's not secret. Because for us, we see where things are headed. All right, it's really not that secret. It's just that people aren't paying attention. Okay, the incredulity of the people has taken them over. Let's get this word. Let's get the word incredulity.
Incredulity.
All right, the state of being unwilling or unable to believe something, and that's the Lord doing that to you. If you're unwilling, the Lord is making you unwilling. If you're unable to believe something, the Lord is making you not be able to believe it. All right, He put a block on you. Okay, similar words are disbelief, lack of belief, unbelief, lack of credence, doubt, doubtfulness, lack of conviction, distrust, mistrust, uh, cynicism, skepticism. All right. Let's see. Okay. So let's get back here to this reading. So number one, it says shift to high volume production. Major neurotechnology companies are currently moving from small scale clinical trials to industrial level manufacturing. And this is another reason why we say it's okay to take note of the examples that we give you, but you must know that it's going to be a global thing. They have competitors in making this technology. All right. When it comes to, they have to make it seem like there's choices out there. All right. There's different manufacturers that you can go to, different people like Elon you can go through, or their competitors. Okay. So you have to keep that in mind. There's going to be more than just Wallet More. There's going to be more than just Neuralink. Okay. So just because those names are not on the technology, this is why we tell you that you need to go look at the technology. That's what you should be concerned with. All right. So it says Neuralink's 2026 scale up. It says in early 2026, Neuralink announced plans to start high volume production of its brain computer interface or BCI devices, aiming for thousands of implants annually. All right. Automated surgery. It says To facilitate this, the company is developing a streamlined, almost entirely automated surgical procedure expected to be operational in 2026, which removes the need for highly specialized surgeons. Number two, normalization through medical and workplace use. The adoption of voluntariness and convenience is a key driver for making the technology mainstream. All right. Current implants like Synchron's Stentrode, Stentrode, one word. All right. Synchron's Stentrode and Neuralink's telepathy are marketed as life-changing medical tools for paralyzed patients to control digital devices with their thoughts. And we'll hear a lot about that when we go into these articles, okay? Which we're not going to do today. We're just going to read this return information after my question, all right? We're not going to go into the articles today. This is just a quick hit on the MotB, all right? So it says companies like 3 Square Market have already introduced voluntary subdermal CHIPs for employees to replace ID badges, passwords, and payment cards. All right, number 3, it says expansion of biometric ecosystems. The infrastructure to support human tracking is being built through digital identity frameworks. By 2026, many global systems are moving toward biometric first verification, where your face or fingerprint, rather than a physical card, is the primary key to travel, banking, and government services. Initiatives like the EU's Digital Identity Wallet, planned for 2026, and national ID programs are creating the regulatory and technical baselines for linking biological data to digital systems. They're building the IOB, or Internet of Bodies. Okay. Number 4, it says legislative preemption. Now, before we go on that, I did mention Internet of Bodies, so let me ask Google to explain that really quick. In simple terms, what is the Internet of Bodies? All right, the Internet of Bodies, IOB, is a network of wearable or implantable devices that collect personal, health, and biometric data and transmit it over the internet. It merges human connected electronics with data analytics to monitor or alter bodily functions, ranging from fitness trackers and smart pills to implanted pacemakers. Man, there's a lot. Let me finish reading this. I thought there was going to be a ton of stuff, but it's a little bit of information here. Key aspects of the Internet of Bodies: types of devices, functionality, purpose, and concerns. All right, so types of devices. It says these include wearable tech, or smartwatches, ingestible sensors, which are smart pills, and embedded devices such as pacemakers, cochlear implants. All right, as far as the functionality, it says IOB technology tracks, records, and stores data like heart rates, sleep patterns, and even brain activity. For under purpose, it says it aims to improve health outcomes, enhance bodily functions, and provide personalized medical treatment, such as remotely managed insulin pumps. Now, a lot of these things are going to sound really convenient and really good. It's going to sound like they care. But Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10. All right. Never trust thine enemy. You have to know who you're dealing with here. All right. You have to know who you're dealing with here. These are the people that the Lord calls the devil and Satan. The ones that come to do the workings of Satan. All right. The ones who are contrary to Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right. We have to know who we're talking about here. As far as concerns, it says key risks involve data privacy, security, hacking, and ethical questions regarding who owns the sensitive biological information collected. They didn't mention that for your concern, okay, that you are going against the scriptures. You're going against what Yahweh and Yahweh Shai has laid out in the scriptures about not taking this thing. Okay, that's a hell of a concern. That should be the top concern. All right, so it finishes out by saying IOB represents a more intimate version of the Internet of Things, or IoT, where the technology is directly attached to our excuse me, where the technology is directly attached to or inside the human body. Hey, everything is pointing at prophecy. Everything is pointing at the MotB being an RFID micro chip. The whole world's going digital, and this is their plan, regardless of if you believe it or not. All right. So going back here now, speaking about the secret plot, number 4 is legislative preemption. It says, in response to these trends, several U.S. states have recently introduced or passed laws to prevent mandatory microchipping, because this is a real thing. All right, why would these states do a preemptive mandatory, try to stop these these preemptive mandatory microchipping things? Why would that be happening? Okay, because this is the way that the world is headed. This thing is going to be made mandatory one way or another. Okay. State bans. It says as of early 2026, states like Washington have introduced legislation specifically to ban employers from forcing microchips on workers, joining others like Alabama and Indiana. Okay. So although these people tell you that there's no plan, all right, there is a plan. Okay, all you have to do is read the scriptures. All right, I guess you won't believe it unless you truly have faith and love for Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai and his ways. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on that really quick. I hope this came through as sincere and edifying. And with that, I want to say all praise to Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. All right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, also known as GMS for short. All right, these are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth. And also, I want to say shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. And Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom. Oh, yeah, and do not take the MotB. Shalom.